Chapter 30. The Arena Beckons. Leo woke with a start, the rough cot beneath him pressing into his back. The room was dim, shadows stretching across the cold stone walls. Beside him, Austin stirred in his own bed, rubbing his eyes. "Morning or night?" Leo croaked, his throat dry. Austin yawned and stretched. "Neither, really. You've been out for a full day." Leo blinked, trying to process. "A whole day?" "Yep, you gave it everything yesterday," Austin said, a faint smirk on his face. "I guess you needed it." Leo's hand went to his jaw, still sore. "So, who won?" Austin shook his head. "No one. You both passed out before anyone could claim victory." Leo stared at the ceiling, the memory of the fight flashing through his mind. Pain and adrenaline still hummed through his veins. Austin noticed his tension. "You know, you're a dark horse," he said, nodding with a small grin. "Never expected that from you." Leo forced a tired smile but said nothing. He lay back, closing his eyes, but sleep wouldn't come. His mind buzzed with the memory of the fight, the throbbing aches, and the weight of what had just happened. Leo paced the floor, restlessness gnawing at him. Then it hit him. A sudden, icy realization. Darius would be in the arena. Without a word, he swung his legs off the cot and moved quietly, careful not to wake Austin. The stone corridors were empty, shadows swallowing his steps as he made his way down. When he reached the arena, the sight froze him. Someone else was fighting in the ring. Leo crouched behind a pillar, scanning the crowd, slipping between shadows, eyes searching for Darius. Minutes stretched. The crowd roared, but Darius was nowhere to be seen. Frustration coiled in Leo's chest. He was about to turn back when a hand clamped on his shoulder. "I've been looking for you." Darius's voice cut through the noise, calm and deliberate. Leo whipped around. There he was, no fight, no chaos, just Darius. Wordlessly, Darius led him through winding corridors until they reached a cell away from the arena's eyes, where they could finally talk in peace. Leo stepped into Darius's cell, every instinct on alert. Darius simply sat on his cot, back straight, arms resting on his knees, eyes locked on Leo. Leo hesitated a moment, then took the cot opposite him, keeping a careful distance. "I knew you'd come," Darius said quietly, almost casual, but there was an edge beneath it. Leo said, "Thought you'd be in the arena tonight." "Not this time," Darius replied. "But I expected you'd realize I wasn't." Silence stretched between them, the kind that demanded attention, before Darius gestured toward the space between the cots. It was time to talk. Darius leaned back on his cot, arms resting casually, but his eyes didn't leave Leo. "You're a great fighter," he said quietly, "just like your dad." Leo froze, speechless, his mind scrambled. "My dad? What is he talking about?" "My dad? You know him?" Leo asked, voice tight. Darius tilted his head, a small, almost amused smile tugging at his lips. "Yes. When I first saw you in that arena fighting, for a moment I thought it was Alaric himself. Same eyes, same face, though with a bald head." A quiet, slightly bitter laugh escaped Darius. He had long, beautiful black hair. Leo's chest tightened. "Alaric? He really knew him?" "Wait, how do you know him?" Leo asked, leaning forward, eyes sharp, demanding answers. Darius's gaze softened, and he spoke slowly, deliberately. "Well," and in that pause the room seemed to grow heavier. Memories of a past long buried began to surface. The story of Alaric, the choices, the battles, the betrayals. It was time to reveal the truth. 25 years ago, Darius was 20, a man forged by pain and desperation. He had escaped Africa under the shadow of a murder case, fleeing not just the law, but enemies who would see him dead. Now, he was on the American continent, unknown, alone, hiding, trying to survive. His only weapon was his body, strong, unyielding, sculpted by years of hardship. That strength became his lifeline. He worked wherever he could, construction sites, loading docks, warehouses, dockyards, any job that demanded raw power and endurance. He hauled crates, lifted steel beams, moved tons of rubble with hands raw and bleeding. For a time, he even did odd jobs for docks and ports, carrying freight in the dead of night, muscles screaming but spirit unbroken. Sleep was a luxury. He dozed on footpaths in empty parks on cold benches, always alert, always wary of the next danger. Hunger clawed at him, rain soaked him to the bone, but he survived. Every bruise, every scar, every sleepless night hardened him, sharpening the man he was becoming. Darius was hoisting steel beams onto a half-finished scaffold, muscles straining, sweat dripping down his face. Each movement was precise, controlled, but raw power radiated from every limb. The clang of metal and the rhythm of labor filled the air. A voice broke through the noise, calm but cutting. "That's such a waste of talent." Darius froze mid-lift and looked back. Arms crossed, eyes sharp, standing like he owned the world was Alaric, age 19. Every inch of him radiated authority and confidence. "You mean me?" Darius asked, wary. "Yes." Alaric stepped closer, his gaze scanning Darius from head to toe. "Look at you, tall, muscular, strong. Yet here you are, wasting it on this. How much are they paying you?" $20 per day, Darius replied, still catching his breath. $20 per day? Wait, what? That's ridiculously low. I know. Then why? They pay illegal immigrants only that much. They know I have no other choice but to do this. Alaric's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. That's bad. But what if I told you that you could earn $100 per day? Darius blinked, incredulous. Really, how? Almost the same work, Alaric said, a small grin playing on his lips. You'll be selling your strength just like you're doing here, but on a different level. Darius's brow furrowed. Selling my strength? And what exactly do I have to do? Just come with me, Alaric said simply, his tone leaving no room for argument. Alaric led Darius through narrow alleyways and quiet streets, the fading glow of the evening sun casting long shadows. Darius followed cautiously, muscles tense, eyes scanning every corner as the city settled into dusk. Finally, they reached a nondescript building. Alaric pushed open the door and gestured inside. The room was surprisingly lavish compared to the streets outside. Leather chairs, polished wood, and a heavy scent of cigar smoke. Behind the largest chair sat a man, calm and commanding, his hands folded on the desk. He didn't rise immediately, only observing Darius with a sharp, appraising gaze. Darius, Alaric said smoothly, meet Ralph Marino. Darius froze for a heartbeat. The name alone carried weight, though he didn't know why yet. Ralph, age 20, leaned back in his chair, a slow, knowing smile spreading across his face. Well, Alaric speaks highly of you, Ralph said, voice deep, controlled. I've heard a lot about your capabilities. Darius shifted uneasily, feeling the sudden intensity of the room. And you are? Ralph chuckled lightly, almost amused by Darius's caution. Consider me someone who appreciates raw talent and knows how to make it profitable. Alaric glanced at him briefly, then back at Darius. Ralph is my partner in all of this. From now on, you'll work with us both. You'll see how far your strength can really take you. Darius straightened, eyes narrowing. So, what exactly is the work I'll be doing? Ralph leaned back in his chair, a faint, almost predatory smile on his lips. You'll find out tonight. Darius's mind raced. The city streets, the back-breaking labor, it all felt insignificant now. But something about Ralph's calm dominance, the way he observed everything without moving, sent a shiver down his spine. This was different, bigger, dangerous, and Darius knew instinctively that nothing in his life so far had prepared him for what was coming. Alaric leads Darius through a maze of back alleys until they reach a plaza that looks dead on the outside. No signs, no lights, no guards. But the closer they get, the louder the muffled noise becomes. A low rumble, like a crowd. Darius frowns. Where are we? You'll see, Alaric says, pushing the metal door open and leading him to the basement. Inside, it hits Darius like a punch. Heat, sweat, shouts, stomping feet. A fenced ring sits in the center, surrounded by bodies pressed tight. Money changing hands, beer flying. A referee in the cage yelling at some guy with a broken nose. Alaric leans in. This is where you're gonna work. Darius looks at Alaric, confused but alert. You want me to fight? Alaric gives him a slow nod. Yeah, and listen. After a while, you'll understand why. We're the ones running this place, we organize it, and we need a strong fighter to boost our business. The crowd loves power, and you've got plenty. Ralph cuts him off. We? Only I am the mastermind of this business. You're just a fighter. Stop taking credit. Alaric raises both hands dramatically. All right, boss man, my bad, don't get your suit wrinkled. Ralph doesn't smile. He just turns and walks away like the conversation is already dead. Darius watches him go. What's his problem? Alaric snorts. He's always like that. Don't take it personally anyway, back to you, here's the deal. He points at the ring. You win, you get paid, but it's not just about winning. The crowd wants a show. You entertain them, you walk out with your $100. Lose and, well, try not to lose. Ghostblade circles him, smirking. Darius keeps his guard up, waiting, studying. Then Ghostblade steps in with a sharp, disrespectful slap across Darius's face. Not a punch, not a strike. A slap. The kind of thing you do to humiliate someone, not beat them. The crowd laughs. That's all it takes. Darius's eyes go dead still. Darius doesn't match technique, he doesn't need to. He lunges like an animal. Raw strength, street instincts, no hesitation. He grabs, slams, throws. Every hit is heavy enough to shake a bone. The crowd explodes as Ghostblade hits the floor for the final time. Ghostblade tries to counter, but Darius is already on top of him, fists dropping like hammers. Technique dies, pure violence takes over. From that night, everything shifts. Darius finally eats enough to quiet the ache in his stomach. He replaces his torn shirts with real clothes. Alaric finds him a room, 4 walls, a roof, and a bed that isn't made of concrete. And the arena becomes his new life. Darius fights and fights and fights, because fighting finally pays. Time passed, and Darius fought in every match the club threw at him. Months rolled by. One night he stood beside Alaric inside the underground fight club. Ralph wasn't present as usual. He preferred to keep his identity hidden. Alaric glanced at Darius. You've been doing a great job, he said. But tonight is the night our business finally blows up. Darius frowned. How? I told you before, we need to entertain the crowd, Alaric said. Tonight, we're doing that by making you fight someone smaller than you. Someone who will defeat you and send the crowd into chaos. Darius narrowed his eyes. You want me to lose? No, Alaric answered. I want you to give your 100%. That only confused Darius more. Who the hell could be smaller than him and still beat him? When he walked into the ring, the crowd erupted, chanting for their champion. Darius soaked in the noise, still wondering about his opponent. Then the opponent stepped in. Alaric. Darius' eyes widened for a split second. Don't go soft on me, Alaric said. Darius smirked. You really think you can beat me? Forget it, the money's staying with me. You'll get the money anyway, Alaric replied. Darius cracked his knuckles. No, winning matters more to me than money. The bell rang. Darius exploded forward without hesitation. Upper body dropped, arms spreading wide as he shot in for a waistlock. Classic wrestling rush, pure power, pure aggression. As he closed the distance, Alaric didn't flinch. He snatched Darius by the shoulder, yanked him downward, and drove his knee straight into Darius's face. The impact cracked through the ring. Darius staggered back, clutching his face, the shock and pain flashing through him like fire. For the first time, he looked at Alaric properly. Not as the guy who recruited him, not as the organizer, but as a fighter. A real one. Someone he had completely underestimated. And in that moment, despite the sting in his nose and the taste of blood creeping into his mouth, Darius felt something else rising in his chest. A grin, a spark, fun. So he's not a joke after all, Darius thought. Good. This might actually be fun. Darius shook off the pain from the knee strike, blood stinging his jaw, and immediately got on guard. He began circling Alaric, his stance tighter this time. Hands up, elbows slightly bent, eyes locked on every micro movement. Calm, controlled, but ready to explode. Alaric mirrored him, circling in perfect rhythm, watching, waiting. There was a dangerous calm in both of them, a predator sizing up another predator. Then Darius lunged again, aiming to close the distance quickly, his upper body leaning forward, hands ready to grab. Alaric anticipated the move. As Darius approached, a swift backhouse kick snapped toward his face. The blow didn't fully connect, glancing off his cheekbone, but it was enough to stun him, jolt his focus. Before Darius could recover, Alaric's fist shot forward, delivering a brutal punch exactly where the kick had grazed. Blood spurted from Darius's mouth. He stumbled backward, taste metallic, shock spreading through his body. Every time Darius surged forward, Alaric met him with precision, sending him sprawling across the ring. Each impact rattled Darius's body, but he realized something chilling. Alaric could have ended this fight on the first attempt, yet he held back, letting himself shine, entertaining the crowd. Fueled by adrenaline and raw instinct, Darius charged again, this time fully unleashed berserk. Alaric's eyes narrowed, and with a swift, brutal motion, he delivered a kick directly to Darius's testicles. "Let's end this," Alaric growled. Darius barely flinched. He reached, wrapped his arms around Alaric's waist and whispered, "Finally." Alaric's eyes widened in shock. "What?" With a roar, Darius slammed him to the mat. The impact reverberated through Alaric's body, making him tremble from the force. Darius pressed his advantage, raining punches on Alaric's cheek. 1, 2, 3. But on the fourth, Alaric grabbed his fist and eye-poked him, a brief sting. But Darius remained unyielding. Alaric moved with the precision of a master. Within moments, he had full control. Darius twisted under Alaric's grip, struggling fiercely. But finally, seeing no opening, he tapped. The crowd erupted, roaring at the spectacle. Darius lay there, chest heaving, eyes blazing, not from pain but from the thrill of the fight. He had pushed Alaric, challenged the master, and emerged unbroken in spirit. The bell rang. The crowd roared, hoarse and frenzied, spilling their excitement into the smoky air of the arena. Darius rose to his feet, chest heaving, eyes blazing with unyielding focus. Alaric helped him up, a small approving smirk crossing his face. "Not bad," he said, voice low. "You held your own. You made them cheer." Darius wiped the sweat from his brow, feeling the thrill of the fight surging through him. This wasn't just about winning or money. It was about testing himself, measuring his strength against the best, and earning respect with every strike. The crowd chanted his name, throwing coins, shouting bets. He felt the energy ripple through him, addictive, intoxicating. He had survived, he had fought, and he had shown his power. Alaric's voice was calm, almost clinical. "So, what happened?" Darius asked. "What do you mean?" Alaric gestured from his eyes down to his testicles. Memories, long buried and painfully raw, surged back. Old trauma, humiliation, and loss he had tried to forget. His jaw tightened, and his gaze dropped to the floor. A heavy silence filled the ring, the air thick with unspoken pain. Darius's body was strong, but inside a shadow had been awakened. The crowd's roar was long gone. Now it was just the two of them, sitting on a cracked stone bench in the empty park behind the abandoned buildings. Alaric lit a cigarette, took one drag, then handed it to Darius. Darius didn't smoke, but he took it anyway. His hands were still shaking. Alaric looked at him and said, "So, what happened?" Darius didn't look at him at first. His jaw clenched, eyes fixed on the ground. Then he exhaled once, short and sharp, and for the first time in years, memories he'd buried so deep began to surface. Chapter 31. Broken Innocence. Darius grew up in a small African town, neither rich nor poor, but developed enough to give people hope. He lived with his father and 4 brothers. His mother had left after the divorce, so she was never part of the household. They were lower middle class, surviving but never comfortable. Darius and his twin brother were the youngest. Darius was good at studies, so his father decided to send him to a better school, hoping education might change their fortune. His twin brother came with him. Same class, same books, same path. People often compared them, calling Darius the smart one while his brother stayed by his side, joking, teasing, keeping the mood light. School wasn't easy, but Darius loved learning. He wanted to give his family something better. During one exam, Darius was writing when a soft voice whispered from behind. He looked back and saw Adana, beautiful, admired, and clearly struggling. She wanted to cheat. Darius didn't understand why she asked him. There were other students too. Maybe because he was the only smart one nearby. And maybe because, for one stupid moment, he thought she liked him. He let her cheat. After that, he always let her copy, borrow homework, or get help from him. Years passed. Darius turned 18. On the last day of school during the farewell party, he decided to confess. If he didn't do it now, he never would. He kept looking for the right moment, waiting, heart pounding. He kept watching her from across the hall, waiting for the right moment. His palms were sweating. His heart was pounding so loud he could hear it. Finally, he forced himself to move. Step by step, he walked toward her, trying to stay calm. "Adana, can we talk?" he asked quietly, keeping his voice steady. She looked at him with a faint, questioning smile. "Talk about what?" "Somewhere private," he said, "just the two of us." She hesitated, then nodded and followed him out of the hall. They walked down the corridor until they reached a silent corner where no one came. The noise of the farewell party faded behind them. For a moment, the world felt reduced to just the two of them, Darius confessed. Her smile disappeared instantly. She turned serious and gently rejected him, saying her parents would never allow such a thing. She liked him, but only as a friend. His heart broke, but he told himself he could move on. Weeks later, Darius was at home reading a newspaper, searching for part-time jobs. Suddenly, someone banged on the door. His eldest brother opened it. A group of men, grown adults, furious, shouting, stormed into the house. Among them, an old man. They looked around wildly. "Where is he?" Then they pointed. "There he is." Darius stood up, confused. Before he could speak, the old man slapped him and the others started beating him. His brothers and father rushed in to intervene. The men yelled that Darius had raped their daughter. Darius burst out laughing, not because it was funny, but because his mind couldn't even absorb the words. For a moment, he genuinely thought it had to be some sick joke, a prank, some huge misunderstanding that would clear up any second. "Me?" he said, confused, still half laughing. "What are you talking about?" His eldest brother grabbed one of them by the collar. Another brother picked up a machete, ready to fight. His father stepped forward, demanding they go to the police. "We are the police," one of them said. Everything froze. Everyone knew how dangerous that meant. They weren't even at the police station. They came to avoid public shame, though it was already public. Then Darius saw the victim, Adana. He felt relief for a moment. She knew him, knew he wasn't a rapist, but the next words shattered him. She was pregnant. In their region, an unmarried pregnancy was a huge crime. There was no dating culture. Her father, grandfather, and uncles were all present. One uncle was an officer, and the grandfather was a retired police officer. They asked Adana if Darius was the one who did it. She said yes. Darius's chest tightened. Is this a prank? Some huge mistake? They can't actually believe this. Can they? His brothers and father were shocked. Friends claimed Darius had taken her outside during the farewell party, and that she returned shaken. Darius tried to defend himself, saying she should tell the truth. She cried and ran away. Her mother followed. Her grandfather declared the matter settled and prepared to punish Darius. Darius demanded a DNA test. They didn't know what that meant. He explained it and suggested a city hospital. They agreed and left. At home, his father beat him brutally. The first hit wasn't even the most painful thing. It was realizing his own family believed the lie. His father kept shouting between blows, voice shaking with rage and disappointment. "You ruined our name. I sent you to study and you did what? You brought shame on this house." Darius tried to protect himself, but the words cut deeper than the slaps. He kept repeating the same thing, breathless between hits. "I didn't do it, I swear I didn't do it." One of his brothers pulled their father back for a moment and whispered urgently to Darius, "Run away, just go, before they come back." But Darius didn't move. His body was trembling, but his voice stayed firm. "No, I didn't do it, I won't run." His father shoved him again, furious that Darius refused to admit to something he never did. The room fell into a heavy silence after the beating ended, the kind that makes you realize a family just broke from the inside. 2 nights later, another violent knock shook the door. Darius froze. He already knew who it was. They stormed in without permission, this time not to talk but to punish. One of the uncles held up a long knife, the kind used for animals. "We're here to finish it," he said, "the punishment he deserves." Darius stepped back, heart pounding. "Did you even get the DNA results?" "We did," another uncle snapped. "It was you." Darius shook his head firmly. "You're lying. DNA doesn't come this early. You never did any test." The old man stepped forward, eyes burning with hatred. "We don't need tests. We need justice." "That's not justice," Darius shot back. "That's you killing the wrong person." The old man ignored him and waved his hand. "Grab him." That was the moment Darius realized. They had already decided the truth and nothing he said would ever matter. Darius tried to fight, punching, kicking, resisting. His own family didn't help but watched. They outnumbered him and got him to the ground. Two grabbed his arms, two grabbed his legs. He resisted, but it didn't matter. Darius looked at his brothers, his dad. He begged them to help him. He told them he didn't do it. Then the old man came with a big knife, the type they used to slaughter cows or goats. They suddenly stopped. For a second, Darius thought they were letting him go, but no, the old man said, "Bring him outside so everyone can see the consequence of rape." They dragged him outside. His head hit the ground, his shirt tore. A crowd gathered quickly, everyone cursing him. Adana was there too. He had no choice left. Darius called out to her and said, "Please forgive him." But it only made them believe it even more. He was crying. His throat felt locked. He couldn't move. The knife terrified him. He pulled off his pants, grabbed his manhood. Then the pain, the trauma, made everything go black in an instant. Darius woke up in the hospital. At first, he couldn't remember what happened, but as the realization hit him, panic kicked in. He threw the blanket off and saw the bandages wrapped around his manhood. He started crying, cursing them, cursing the world. He swore to himself that he would kill every last one of them. When he finally got out of the hospital, Darius went straight to the police station and told them everything. They cut him off halfway. They said they already knew the whole story, and that he deserved it. Then Adana's uncle walked in, giving him a creepy smile. "You still have balls coming here," he said. The entire police station burst into laughter. Tears fell from Darius's face. He kept looking down and walked out of the station. On his way home, children mocked him. Teenagers laughed. Grown men cursed him. His father didn't want to see him at home, so Darius spent most of his time at the farm, avoiding everyone. Months passed, days blending into each other, and still everyone cursed him. But Darius cursed his fate even more. One night he was going home, passing by a marriage ceremony. From a distance he realized it was Adana's wedding. She was marrying one of their classmates. Darius never liked him, nobody did. Yet here she was, standing beside him. Maybe they had no other option. Who would marry a girl who was carrying the baby of a so-called rapist? Darius thought. Darius kept walking. He didn't stop, didn't look twice. He just carried on toward home, still suffering from the pain, the trauma, the humiliation that refused to leave his body or his mind. At Adana's home after the wedding, they were in their room. She sat quietly, lost in thought. Her husband stepped out of the shower, wrapping a towel around his waist. "What are you thinking?" he asked. Adana didn't look at him immediately. "I think it's time we should tell them." "Maybe we shouldn't," he replied cautiously. "Everything got worse rather than we expected." She shook her head. "But I feel bad for him. We took away everything from him." He ran a hand through his damp hair. "You are right, but still." "No," Adana said firmly. "That was our commitment. We should tell them the truth." Her husband nodded slowly, eyes serious. "Okay. What worse could happen?" After a few days, at night, Darius reached home and immediately felt something was wrong. Adana's family was sitting in his house, the old man included. On the table, gifts, wrapped, neat, like some sick celebration. Darius didn't know what the hell was going on. All he knew was that he hated every face in that room. He was ready to walk away before even stepping inside. "Come in," his father said sharply from behind. He stepped in. Then he saw them, Adana and her husband too. Her husband's face was bruised, a cut near his cheekbone. Darius assumed they were there to accuse him again, this time of beating the guy. He sat down. The old man started talking. "We are here to apologize for what we did to your son." Darius felt a shock and anger rising together. "Why isn't he apologizing to me? Why to my father?" The old man continued. "Adana wasn't raped. She lied to us." Darius's father leaned forward. "Then what happened?" The old man cleared his throat. "Well, you see, Adana and her husband were in love before marriage. They had illicit relations, which led to her pregnancy. They were scared to tell us, so they accused me of raping her?" Darius cut in ice cold. "Yes," the old man said. "And we are ashamed of our actions, and look at her husband, we gave him a good beating." Did you cut his testicles too? Darius snapped. No. Why? Because, oh yeah. Darius stood up slightly. You want to do it in front of the people, right? Wait, let me gather them. His father grabbed his arm and shoved him back down so hard his injured area jolted with pain. The old man pressed on like nothing happened. We know we did wrong to him, and for an apology we brought clothes, food, and money. Before Darius could speak, his father jumped in fast. No problem, we are glad that you apologized. Darius stared at his father, stunned. They cut my testicles, not yours, so I am the one they should be apologizing to. His father shot him an irritated look. Shut up. That was the moment Darius understood it fully. His dad didn't care about him, and those people weren't sorry. Not even close. He looked down. Rage, shame, hatred, all boiling. Then he heard one of the uncles speak to his father and brothers. And please, and don't let this matter go outside this house. That sentence cracked something inside him. Darius stood up slowly, slamming his thighs with his palms as adrenaline surged through his body. He walked to the gate, locked it from the inside. Everyone fell silent, confused, until Darius turned around with a machete in his hand. Then they understood exactly what was about to happen. The next thing, sirens wailed outside Darius's home. Chaos had unfolded inside. There was no trace of Darius, only bodies, brutally killed. Throats were slit, intestines spilling out. For the old man, Darius had left a final, grotesque mark. His testicles were cut and forced into his mouth. Adana was dead. Her husband, too. The only person left alive was Darius's twin brother. He had been there too, but no one could figure out how he survived. And Darius, he was nowhere to be found in Africa. Back to the present, Alaric shook his head, disbelief etched across his face. Darius, I can't believe it, all of that, you went through all of that? Darius's eyes stayed on the ground, tracing the cracks in the concrete. Yes, Alaric's voice softened, but curiosity and horror mingled in his tone. And your twin brother? Why didn't you kill him? Darius's eyes finally met Alaric's, empty, steady. I was about to kill him, hand on his throat. Then he looked at me, and for a second it felt like I was staring at myself. The innocent version. The one who didn't deserve any of this. He breathed out slowly. Killing him would have been killing the last piece of me that wasn't a monster. I had already slaughtered my own father, my own brothers. That was enough blood, enough shame. He looked away, voice dropping to a low, dead calm. What's done is done. I chose to live, so I forgave myself. Alaric exhaled slowly, processing the weight of it all. The park around them suddenly feeling smaller, colder, and heavier. Chapter 32, The Gentleman's Pit. On a Sunday evening, Darius went to see Alaric. He knew he would be in the office. When he reached the front door, he sensed that Alaric was already there. But as his hand touched the doorknob, he heard people arguing inside. 2 voices. He assumed it was Alaric and Ralph. He pressed his ear to the door to listen. I have already told you I will never do that. Why? You want to remain stuck here forever? Ralph, I'm telling you, stop here, don't go any further. Oh, yes, I will. Either come with me or don't stop me. Why are you even doing this? Is she behind this, that bastard Camilla? Then Darius heard things breaking. Glass, maybe a table or a chair, but he didn't go inside. After a moment, he heard, Don't you ever say a word about her. Know your place, now get out. The door opened in front of Darius and Alaric walked out, eyebrows drawn down, wrinkles forming on his forehead. Darius, what are you doing here? The incident left Darius speechless. He hesitated. Whatever, Alaric said and walked away. Darius gave Ralph a last look. He was standing beside the table, motionless, breathing like an angry bull. Darius turned to leave. Come here, Ralph called from behind. Darius sat in Ralph's office, facing him with no idea why he was there. Ralph asked, So, what was your name again? Darius Cole. Darius, a good name. I saw you fighting. You were very impressive. Okay, but what do you want from me? Yes, let's get straight to the point. How much money did you get from the previous fight? About $100. Why? I'm here to give you a golden opportunity. What is it? Ralph leaned forward and said, Want to earn $1,000? Really? How? You just have to fight, no new work. But how is it possible? I mean, who will pay this much? You'll find out tonight. And if you win, you'll work for me and you can even make $10,000. Darius gave the offer a second thought. He remembered the taste of chicken and beef, the meals he had been eating for the past few days, earned through fighting. He knew no other work could make him this much money. Without hesitation, he accepted the offer on the spot. At night, Darius stood on the spot assigned by Ralph, waiting for him. After half an hour, a car arrived, Ralph sitting inside. Darius got into the car. It took them far away to someone's farmhouse, a big, comfortable one, but protected by huge walls and a massive gate guarded by men. Inside, Darius saw a part of the elite class, rich families, but something felt off to him. He asked Ralph, "Why are we here?" "You'll find out soon," Ralph replied. Then a girl approached Ralph. They kissed, and afterward Ralph said, "Camilla, darling, how are you doing? Is your father dead yet?" The girl eagerly looked into his eyes and said, "Not yet, but soon." Darius thought it would be polite to give them some personal space, so he moved away. But some men bumped into him and started barking. From his observation, they weren't looking elegant or disciplined like the others here. He ignored them. After a while, the host stood up, tapped a glass with a fork, and grabbed everyone's attention. After giving a long, boring speech, he said, "Now for the thrilling part." Darius raised an eyebrow. "What the hell is that?" Then everyone got up and shuffled, and Ralph and Camilla came toward Darius. "Get ready," Ralph said. "Get ready for what?" Camilla interrupted. "Is he your fighter? Where is Alaric?" Darius, shocked, said, "I will fight here?" "Yes," Ralph replied, "and you better not lose." Then he saw the scenario. 6 fighters, including him. The fighters were the same men who had bumped into him earlier. Each family had its own fighter. In the first round, 2 fighters would fight and the families would place bets, usually reaching millions of dollars, though it was less this time. The winning family would take the money and the other would get nothing. Now came the first round. There was only one referee and the spectators chilled in their seats enjoying the fight. The first round featured 2 fighters, not Darius. He sighed in relief, as he wanted to observe first. From his observation, the fighters looked more fancy than dangerous. The bet was $50,000. When the match began, both fighters rushed at each other, punching faces and ribs at the same time. It looked more like a match of bare strength than skill. After numerous punches and kicks, both fighters stepped back, faces bloody, eyes locked on each other, both panting. Then they rushed again, this time more lightly, probably because of the previous clash. Ralph moved closer to Darius and whispered in his ear, "Can you win?" Darius looked him in the eyes and said, $5,000. Darius turned toward Ralph and repeated, $5,000 and I will win. Ralph raised an eyebrow, a slight smile forming on his face. Then with a straight tone he said, "Done." After the first round came the second, where Darius would fight. If he won, he would advance to the final. His opponent was a tall Asian guy wearing long pants, a band around his forehead, and some kind of fancy footwear. Darius, on the other hand, wore only shorts, nothing else. The crowd mocked him, calling him an amateur. When the bell rang, the Asian fighter didn't rush toward Darius. Instead, he circled him, and Darius circled back. The fighter closed the distance and threw 2 left-hand punches, both easily dodged by Darius. Then he landed a powerful right-hand punch to Darius's face. But Darius grabbed his wrist, twisted his arm backward, and slammed a hard slap into his chest, weakening him. Darius followed with a final kick straight to his face. The Asian fighter fell to the ground, making Darius the winner. The crowd, who had once mocked Darius, was now shocked by his fighting. The man the Asian fighter worked for stood up and walked over to him, who was still lying on the ground. He kicked him in the stomach and said, "You're fired." And then came the final round. Darius's opponent stepped forward, a tall, white, bulky man built like a wall of muscle. His shoulders were wide, his arms thick, and his presence alone silenced the crowd for a moment. This wasn't going to be easy. The bell rang. The fight was brutal from the start. The man hit hard, forcing Darius to defend more than attack. Punches landed on Darius's ribs, his shoulders, his face. He struggled, staggering once, but he didn't fall. He kept moving, kept breathing, kept fighting back. As the fight dragged on, Darius began to gain ground, but that's when his opponent changed. He started fighting dirty. He tried to poke Darius's eyes, bit into his shoulder when Darius grappled him. There was no honor left in him. Still, Darius pushed through. With a surge of strength, he grabbed the man by the waist, lifted him off the ground, and slammed him down hard. The impact shook the floor. It was a display of raw, unwavering strength. Darius thought it was over. He stepped back, then walked toward his opponent and extended a hand to help him up. But the man grabbed Darius's wrist, twisted it, pulled him down, and climbed on top of him. He started punching wildly. Darius raised his arms, blocking his face, absorbing the blows. Then he heard it. The cheers had changed. "Kill him! Kill him!" Darius looked toward the crowd and saw Ralph yelling it too. "Kill him, Darius!" At that moment, Darius saw an opening. He struck. One clean punch to the throat. The man collapsed instantly. Silence. Then the referee stepped in. The fight was over. Darius had won. After the match, after everything, Ralph dropped Darius off where he had picked him up. Before leaving, Darius stopped him. "What?" Ralph said. "You need more money?" "No, tell me, what the hell was that back there?" "What do you mean?" "That killing stuff. When I saw those decent people, I thought it would be a decent and honorable fight, but suddenly their cheers turned into kill him, kill him." Ralph chuckled. "Decent, huh? What gave you that idea? Elegance is in blood, not in clothes or lifestyle." With that, he drove away. Darius stood there watching him go. Next chapter's dropping soon. Subscribe so you won't miss it.